Some minds don't sleep, they remember.
Every year, tens of billions of dollars vanish without a single gunshot, without a door kicked in, without a single drop of blood spilled. No knife is needed, no bomb. Only a weapon sharper than all others, a whisper, a sweet promise, a cold threat. Silently weaving through fiber optic cables under the ocean, crossing thousands of miles to land right in the palm of your hand through your phone screen, a text message, a seemingly harmless email, and that number is higher next year than the last. It doesn't target your bank account first. It attacks something more fragile, more precious. Your trust. It exploits your deepest fears, awakens your latent greed, and turns your own heart into the scene of a ruthless crime. This isn't just a story about high-tech scams. This is the story of how our minds are manipulated, led into a labyrinth of deceit where the scammer doesn't need to be present, doesn't need to look you in the eye, yet can still make you hand over everything willingly. And the question that truly sends a shiver down your spine, Ice and Tea, who will be the next victim? It is, why, despite knowing the tricks, despite being warned thousands of times, is a part of us still willing to believe a lie? If you are brave enough to face the dark corners of your own soul, to discover how a scammer turns you into prey without ever touching you, then subscribe to the channel right now. The journey into the mind of the manipulator and their unwilling victims begins here, and it will make you look at yourself in a new light. The landscape of fear. In the introduction, we stood before an invitation from the shadows, an enchanting whisper from those hidden in the digital web. And the question remains, hanging like a ghost. Why, despite being warned time and time again, do we still open the door and invite scammers into our lives? Why do we so easily give away our trust, our money, and sometimes even our hearts? To truly begin the journey for answers, we must draw a map of fear, of greed, and of the deepest weaknesses in the human soul. This is not a familiar land with straight roads and clear signposts. No, this is the Wild West of the 21st century, a vast digital desert where laws have yet to be established, and predators roam free, hiding behind glowing screens. This is a place where every click can lead you to treasure or to an abyss, where truth and lies blend to the point of being indistinguishable. Let's start with the numbers, the cold, sleepless, and unforgiving numbers. Let's look at the annual report from the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. These numbers are not just dry statistics. They are the screams of millions of victims. In 2023 alone, Americans lost over $10 billion to online scammers, a colossal sum, larger than the entire budget of many small nations. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, as many victims are too ashamed to report. Imagine, billions of dollars disappearing in just 1 year, not through dramatic bank robberies with guns, but through stealthy emails, fraudulent text messages, and calls from strange numbers. These are not petty thefts, as one cybersecurity expert said. This is a global industry, operated with the sophistication of a massive multinational corporation, with specialized departments, detailed plans, and even internal training courses to perfect the art of deception. This industry doesn't sell tangible products. It sells illusions and fear. It designs a range of sophisticated products, each tailored to attack a specific vulnerability in human psychology, from the fear of loss to the desire for wealth, from loneliness to greed. And tonight, under the dim light of this map, join me in meeting 5 faces that represent those shadows, 5 main characters in this dark play, where the stage is your screen and the audience is the victim. The first character, the impersonator. He has no real face. He is a ghost, borrowing the most familiar images to deceive you. Imagine an email that looks exactly like one from Apple, with its glossy logo and pixel-perfect font, or a call from a stern voice claiming to be an IRS agent, with a tone of authority that makes your heart pound. He exploits our primal fear of large institutions, the pillars we trust to protect our lives. Your account has been hacked, he whispers via email, Click here immediately to protect it, or you will lose everything. Or even more terrifying, there's an arrest warrant out for you for tax evasion. So transfer the money now to resolve it. Turns your respect and trust in the system into a sharp blade, stabbing you with it. The result? Thousands have lost millions of dollars, all because of a moment of hesitation. The second character, the ghost lover. Unlike the first, he doesn't use fear to attack. He uses loneliness, a silent enemy everyone has faced. He lurks on dating apps like Tinder or Bumble, on Facebook with a perfectly crafted fake profile. An American soldier stationed in Afghanistan with a warm smile and a heroic story. A widowed doctor saving children in Africa, sharing moving photos. An oil rig engineer offshore, dreaming of a peaceful life with you. He is not in a hurry. He spends weeks, months, building a relationship. He listens to your deepest sorrows, shares his fabricated dreams, making you feel loved for the first time in years. "You are my light," he texts every night. Then, when your trust is as solid as a rock, the staged tragedy occurs. "I've had an accident. I need money urgently to come home to you. Or the gift I sent is stuck in customs. I just need you to transfer a small amount." He isn't asking for money. He's crying out for help from his lover. And you, drunk on virtual love, will lose not only your money, but also your faith in real love. Every year, this type of scam steals hundreds of millions of dollars, leaving behind broken hearts and shattered dreams. The third character, the financial prophet. He doesn't target your heart. He targets your wallet through greed and the fear of missing out, FOMO. He thrives in crypto investment groups on Telegram. He's on stock forums like Reddit's, Wall Street bots. With insider information and 1,000% guaranteed projects, he flaunts green profit charts, images of Lamborghinis, and luxurious beachfront villas life you only dare to dream of. This is a life-changing opportunity, he whispers through his posts. Don't miss this train, or you'll regret it forever. He doesn't sell stocks. He sells the dream of financial freedom, a ticket to the world of millionaires, and the price. Your life savings vanished into virtual coins or collapsed Ponzi schemes. House. Thousands of victims have lost everything, left with nothing but regret and a costly lesson about greed. The fourth character, the fisher. This is the most common, the most silent, and perhaps the most dangerous due to his simplicity. He doesn't need a complex script or a long-term relationship. He just needs your gullibility and daily habits. An email announcing you've won the latest iPhone, just click the link to claim it. Fake bank website, identical to the real one down to the last detail. A message from a friend asking for an urgent phone card top-up. These tiny traps are set millions of times a day, waiting for a moment of carelessness when you're tired after work or distracted by life. And when you fall into the net, he takes not just your password but your entire personal identity, leading to prolonged identity theft. The fifth character, the crisis exploiter. This is the emerging ghost, exploiting the world's moments of chaos, from the COVID pandemic to wars. It's from natural disasters to economic crises. He sends fake emails from the WHO, promising an emergency vaccine if you transfer money. Or he impersonates a charity after a flood, calling for donations for victims which actually go into his pocket. He turns collective fear into personal profit, making you act impulsively in a state of panic. These 5 faces, 5 deadly tactics, all aim for a single goal: to turn your weakness into their advantage. To truly feel the impact, let's follow a real story, the story of Helen. A 65-year-old retired teacher living alone in Florida after her husband died of cancer. She wasn't naive. She used to teach students about internet safety. But her story began with a simple greeting on Facebook. "Hello, I'm Carl, a German engineer working in Texas. Your picture is so warm, can we be friends?" Carl told her about his life. A widower, 2 sons, dreaming of a partner to share his sunsets with. They chatted for hours, shared family photos, and Helen felt her heart come alive after years of solitude. Then the tragedy struck. Carl had an accident on a construction site, needing $5,000 for surgery. "It's just a loan, my love. I'll pay you back when I get home." Helen transferred the money, then another sum for a plane ticket. In total, she lost $50,000 of her savings, and Carl disappeared, leaving Helen with pain and shame. She wasn't the only victim. Thousands like her have lost billions of dollars to similar stories. In the maze of scams we've just explored with these 5 lurking ghosts, which type do you feel is the most frightening and cruel? The one that attacks your wallet directly with fear and greed, causing you to lose all your assets? Or the one that creeps into your heart, exploiting loneliness and trust, leaving behind unhealable scars? These criminals don't just take money, they take hope, faith, and sometimes the will to live. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might save someone else. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey, exploring deeper into the darkness. Who are these people really? Where are they sitting when they type those deadly messages, when they make those fake calls? In the next part, we will sneak into the mind of a scammer, chilling journey, where the line between victim and predator becomes blurred. Inside the mind of the scammer. In the last part, we stepped through the doorway of fear. We faced the numbers that never sleep, a multi-billion-dollar scam industry spread across the globe like an invisible web. We saw the 5 faces of deception, from romance scammers and fake financial profits to the cold voices from the IRS. But now, a larger question looms in our minds, like a shadow that cannot be ignored. Who are the people behind these lies? When you think of an online scammer, what do you picture? Tech genius, hidden in the dark, fingers flying across the keyboard like a pianist, breaking through walls of encryption? Or a cold and calculating crime lord, controlling an underground empire from a secret bunker? The truth, as usual, is both more mundane and more terrifying than you can imagine. Join me as we step into another world. An old office building, perhaps in Calcutta, India, with stained walls and flickering fluorescent lights, or a rundown house in Lagos, Nigeria, where the smell of diesel mixes with the worry of a fan. It could even be a normal suburban home in America, with a neatly trimmed lawn and an old car parked in the driveway. Inside these places, you won't find mysterious hackers or powerful kingpins. Instead, you'll see hundreds of young faces, ordinary people, sitting in front of rows of computers, wearing headsets, their eyes glued to the screen. They have KPs, bosses, and lunch breaks with simple boxed meals. They work in shifts, just like any other office worker. But their job isn't data entry or customer support. Their job is to weave lies stories, meticulously designed to steal not just your money, but your trust. These are the workers in the factory of deceit. They don't need to write complex code or hack into banking systems. Their weapon isn't malware or a computer virus. Their weapon is a pre-written script, honed over years to do one thing and one thing only: to hack your mind. Because in their world, you are not just the target, you are the key. Welcome to the world of social engineering, a term that sounds sophisticated, but its core is frighteningly simple. It is the art of manipulating people into voluntarily doing things that go against their own interests. Handing over a password, transferring money, opening their own hearts. They don't need to break the lock on your house. They just need you to open the door and invite them in. To do this, they rely on the 4 horsemen of psychological manipulation for primal emotions, weaknesses that none of us are completely immune to. The first horseman, fear. Hello, this is John Smith from the IRS. We have detected a serious case of fraud in your tax filings. The penalty amounts to $12,547. If you do not pay immediately, an arrest warrant will be issued within 60 minutes. Can you feel it? Your heart rate starts to accelerate like a frantic drum in your chest. Your palms become clammy. IRS, arrest warrant. Your rational mind might whisper that something is wrong, that this voice is too rigid, too perfect. But fear has already crept in, like a cold blade. Fear is the first and sharpest weapon. It paralyzes you, makes you doubt yourself. You think, what if I did something wrong? What if this is real? The second horseman, Urgency. You must act now. Do not hang up. Do not talk to anyone. If you do not transfer the money within 10 minutes, we cannot stop the police from knocking on your door. They give you no time to breathe. There's no chance to check your email, call a relative, or even just stop to think. They create a pressure bubble where it's just you and their authoritative voice. In that moment, the world shrinks to a single choice. Do as they say, or face the consequences. Urgency is a perfect trap. It makes you act before you have a chance to think. The third horseman, greed. Congratulations. You've been selected to join an exclusive cryptocurrency investment project. 30% monthly returns guaranteed. But this opportunity is only for the first 50 people. Transfer $1,000 today to secure your spot. You know, there's no such thing as easy money. Your reason screams that this is a promise too good to be true. But then, FOMO, the fear of missing out, begins to whisper. You see posts on social media, stories of people getting rich overnight. You think, what if this is a real opportunity? What if I miss out and regret it for the rest of my life? Greed is not just the desire for more money. It's the fear of being left behind. The fear that everyone else is moving forward, and you are not. The scammer knows how to fan that flame. The fourth horseman, friendliness. Let's go back to the story of the widow we mentioned in the first part. Scammer didn't appear as a cold IRS agent or a flashy investor. He appeared as an American soldier serving in a distant, harsh land. A widowed, lonely man looking for a glimmer of light in the darkness. He sent her poems, written in clumsy but sincere language. He asked her about her past, about the dreams she once had. He listened, truly listened, through hours-long text conversations, through calls that stretched late into the night. He built a relationship, a trust, a connection that spanned weeks, months. And then, when that trust had become an unshakable mountain, he began to talk about an incident. A sum of money needed urgently to help him overcome a difficulty. Special gifts stuck at customs, needing only a small fee to be released. At this point, she was no longer talking to a stranger. She was helping the man she believed she loved. Friendliness, or rather, the illusion of friendliness, is the most ruthless weapon. It doesn't just steal money. It steals hearts, trust, and sometimes the last broken pieces of hope. Fear, urgency, greed, love. These four horsemen are not just the scammer's tools. They are invisible strings tied deep within the mind of every one of us. The scammer doesn't need to be smarter than you. They don't need to know more than you. They just need to be more patient and willing to cross moral lines you would never touch. They know that on a bad day, in a moment of loneliness, or just a second of carelessness, we all have blind spots. Unlocked doors in our own minds. Do you think you are vigilant enough to recognize when someone is pulling those strings? Or do you admit that, sometimes in the hidden corners of our souls, we are all more vulnerable than we'd like to admit? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever faced a situation that made you suspicious? Call, a message, a promise that was too good to be true? You've looked at their playbook, seen how they operate, how they turn trust into a weapon. But the story doesn't end here. In the next part, we won't be talking about the scammers anymore. We will talk about the price that is paid. The scars that these lies leave behind in the victims, on their families, and on our society itself. That price is deeper than you think. The human cost. In the previous part, we stepped into the factory of lies. We witnessed how scammers use the four horsemen of manipulation: fear, urgency, greed, and friendliness to infiltrate our minds, turning our trust into a weapon against us. We've seen how they do it. But tonight, the spotlight is no longer on them. We will turn our gaze to those on the other side of the line, the victims. People left with scars not just on their bank accounts, but carved deep into their hearts and souls. It's because when you are scammed, you don't just lose numbers, you lose trust. You lose your sense of security. Sometimes you lose a part of yourself that you can never get back. Let's return to Helen, the retired teacher in Florida we met earlier. A widow living alone in a small house, where the family photos on the wall were the only memories of happier days. Her virtual romance with the soldier in Texas began as a small light in the darkness. He, under the name James, claimed to be a serviceman deployed in the Middle East. Through Facebook messages, spoke of long days on the battlefield, the loneliness of a widower, and the dream of returning to America to build a new home. They messaged every day, sometimes dozens of messages in an hour. He sent her poems, sweet but clumsy words, as if written by a sincere heart. He asked her about her past, about the dreams she had when she was young. And for the first time since her husband passed away, Helen felt her heart come alive again. She believed, I loved. But then the first signs appeared. James spoke of a sum of money needed urgently to apply for leave from the Army. Then a special gift and engagement ring, he said, was stuck in customs, needing a fee to be released. Each time, the reason was woven perfectly, so plausibly that she couldn't bring herself to doubt him. Helen sent her entire retirement savings, over $80,000, the money she had saved her whole life to live on in her final years. And then, one day, James vanished. His Facebook account was deleted, his phone number no longer existed. The emails she sent fell into a void, like cries for help in the dark night. In that moment, Helen didn't just realize she had lost money. She realized that the man she had loved, confided in, dreamed of a future with, had never existed. He didn't just steal her money, he killed her heart. Helen no longer believed in love. She locked her doors, drew the curtains, and lived in silence, where pain and shame gnawed at her day after day. Michael, a 19-year-old student in California, was the pride of his family, the first in his lineage to attend college. His parents, immigrants who worked grueling hours in a small family restaurant, had scraped together every penny, even taking out a second mortgage on their modest home to cover his tuition at a state university. Michael dreamed of becoming an engineer, of building a better life for his family. But one day he joined a crypto investment group on a social media platform. In the group, an influencer known as Crypto King constantly shared dazzling price charts and stories of people who had struck it rich overnight. He hyped a 100% guaranteed project that promised to double investments in just 1 week. Michael was skeptical. He'd heard of scams and knew such promises were often too good to be true. But the fear of missing out, started to gnaw at him. He saw posts from other group members flaunting their supposed profits, thought of his parents, exhausted from endless shifts at the restaurant, and his dream of giving them a life of comfort. Against his better judgment, Michael transferred his entire tuition fund over $10,000. The money his family had sacrificed everything from into the project's digital wallet. 3 days later, the group vanished. Crypto King stopped responding. Michael's money, along with his college dream, disappeared without a trace. Michael didn't just lose money, lost the future he and his family had staked everything on. He lost the pride in his parents' eyes. In its place, he faced their disappointment and questions he couldn't answer. Why did you do it? Why weren't you more careful? The pain of losing money is immense, but it is nothing compared to the pain of shame. Try to imagine that feeling. Stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself, and ask, how could I be so stupid? Why did I believe such an absurd promise? Why didn't I listen to the warnings from my friends, my family? That self-blame is like a knife cutting into your soul, day after day. It makes you doubt yourself, doubt your own judgment. And the worst part, you'd often have to face it alone. A victim of a robbery can easily tell their story. They are comforted, their burden shared. But a victim of a scam, they often choose silence. They fear being judged, fear hearing words like "I told you so," or "How could you be so naive?" Fear being seen as foolish, as greedy. And so, they lock themselves in a prison of shame. They don't tell their friends. They don't tell their family. They carry that pain alone, letting it eat away at them from the inside, destroying not just their finances, but also their mental health. In a world that constantly celebrates intelligence, vigilance, and the ability to protect oneself, admitting you've been scammed feels like a taboo. It's like confessing you weren't smart enough, not savvy enough. But the truth is, anyone can become a victim, not because they are stupid, not because they are greedy, but because they are human, with emotions, with weaknesses, and with moments of vulnerability. If a friend, a relative, or even a stranger came to you and confessed they had just been scammed, what would you say to them? Would it be a word of judgment, even if unintentional? Like "I told you so"? Or "Why weren't you more careful"? Or would it be a hug, an understanding gaze, and a simple but powerful statement? You are not alone, and it is not your fault. Our choice in that moment can change everything. It can be a door opening to healing, or a wall pushing someone deeper into the darkness. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you ever witness someone suffer the pain of a scam? Have you ever been in a situation that made you doubt yourself? More importantly, what do you think we can do to protect each other from these scars? But the story doesn't stop with individuals like Helen or Min. These scams don't just leave scars on people, but on society as a whole. It creates a world where people are afraid to answer the phone from a strange number. A world where a message from a loved one might be suspected as fake. A world where trust, the very foundation of all relationships, is eroded day by day. Why has the United States, a technological superpower, a place where information seems to be at everyone's fingertips, become such fertile ground for scammers? In the next part, we will dig deep into the specific vulnerabilities of the American system and culture the cracks that have created a perfect environment for the scam industry to thrive. We will examine how technology, law, and even social psychology have unintentionally aided these manipulators. And more importantly, we will learn how to take back control, not just for ourselves, but for all those we love. Why is America a gold mine? In the last part, we heard the echoes of devastation. A widow who lost her faith in love. A student who lost his dream of a university education. Scars weren't just in the numbers in a bank account, but carved deep into the soul, leaving wounds of shame, loneliness, and loss. Those stories are heartbreaking, but they also lead us to a larger, unavoidable question. Why do stories like these happen so often, especially in America? America, technological superpower, a hub of innovation, a place where information seems to be constantly at our fingertips, a place where people are connected through smartphones, apps, and advanced financial systems. So why, of all the countries in the world, has America become a goldmine for scammers? Tonight, we won't talk about individual victims anymore. We'll dig deep into the systemic cracks, the weaknesses in American culture, technology, and society that have unintentionally created a perfect playground for the scam industry to thrive. The American financial system is a modern marvel. Zelle, or Venmo. You can buy an item from halfway across the world with a single click on Amazon. You can walk into any supermarket, buy a gift card worth hundreds of dollars, and send that code via email in a flash. This convenience is a miracle. It makes life faster, easier, and more connected. But that same convenience is a wide open door for criminals. Think of it as a highway with no speed bumps, no barriers. It allows you to travel at breathtaking speed. But when an accident happens, the consequences are often catastrophic. In the past, transferring a large sum of money required time and effort. You had to go to the bank, fill out paperwork, sign your name, and wait several days for the transaction to be processed. That waiting period wasn't just a technical barrier, it was a psychological speed bump. It gave you a chance to stop, to think, to call a friend, or to realize that the voice on the other end of the line sounded off. But today, in a panic induced by a fake IRS agent, you can transfer your entire life savings in 30 seconds, right from the phone in your hand. There is no friction, no time for hesitation. And the worst part? Once money is sent through systems like Zelle or gift cards, getting it back is nearly impossible. Convenience has eliminated our most important defense layer, the time to think. America is a country with a rapidly aging population. Millions of seniors, people who have worked hard their entire lives, accumulating significant wealth. They're living in empty nests. Our children are often far away, sometimes in another state or another country. Close friends gradually disappear due to time or illness. And in a world of rapidly changing technology, many of them are left behind. They are not familiar with new apps, don't understand how blockchain works, and often don't know that an email that looks like it's from their bank could be a fake. They become a true goldmine for scammers. Romance scams, in particular, target them with the utmost cruelty. Scammers don't just attack their wallets, they attack their loneliness, their desire for connection, to be loved, to be heard. Remember Helen's story, or a widow who had lived alone for years? The messages from a soldier far from home, the clumsy but emotional poems, were worth more than any amount of money. They weren't just lies, they were a medicine for her lonely heart. The elderly are not just victims of greed. They are victims of their own hearts, of their longing to feel that they still matter in a world that seems to have forgotten them. America is a society built on trust in large institutions and brands. From a young age, we are taught that a bank's logo, a letter with an IRS letterhead, or an email from Microsoft are things to be trusted. That trust is the foundation of a modern economy where transactions happen quickly and efficiently. But scammers have turned that trust into a weapon. They don't need to build trust from scratch. They just need to borrow the trust you already have for familiar brands. An email with the Bank of America logo, call from a phone number that looks like Amazon's hotline, a letter with an IRS letterhead designed to look exactly like the original. In the digital world, anything can be perfectly faked. A logo, a voice, a website interface. When you see those familiar symbols, your defensive barriers automatically lower. You think, this is Amazon. This is my bank. Nothing can be wrong. But the truth is, in the world of scammers, nothing is real. A financial system that is too convenient, with no time to think. A large, elderly, lonely, and vulnerable population. Culture that places too much trust in familiar symbols. Those are 3 cracks in America's defensive wall, 3 wide open doors that scammers walk through every day. Armed with scripts honed to steal not just our money, but our trust. Do you think the rapid advancement of technology is leaving a large part of the population behind, making them easier prey than ever before? And whose responsibility is that? Is it on the individuals who can't keep up, or on a society that hasn't done enough to protect them? Leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think makes America, or your own country, a target for scammers? And more importantly, what do you think we can do to close those doors? Scammers no longer operate in the shadows. They operate right in front of us, exploiting the very systems and culture we have built. But that doesn't mean we are powerless. In the next part, we will talk about the fight back. We will look at the ways that individuals, communities, and even the system itself can stand up against this scam industry. From educating ourselves and protecting our loved ones, to building new speed bumps in the digital world, who will stand up in this fight? Who will protect the most vulnerable in our society? Fighting back. In the previous part, we faced a bleak picture. A financial system too accessible, too convenient, like a wide-open unlocked door. A vulnerable population is lead drawn in by sweet promises. And a culture that places blind faith in symbols of authority banks, brands, or familiar voices. All of this creates a glittering goldmine for scammers. The question that naturally pops into anyone's head is, so who is going to protect them? Who will stand up in this digital Wild West, where the law always seems to be one step behind the criminal? The answer is yes. There are people fighting. Their fight is not simple, not a shootout at high noon, but a pursuit in the dark, where every step could be a trap. Tonight, we won't talk about the victims. We'll talk about the hunters, those who are silently, persistently fighting to reclaim justice. More importantly, we will talk about how we can become a part of this fight. Let's start with the professional hunters, the FBI and the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. Imagine their offices. No breathtaking car chases, no gunshots ringing out. Instead, there are rooms lit by fluorescent lights, computer screens filled with data and code. Digital detectives sit there, eyes glued to the screen, tracing the faint trails left by scammers, an IP address hidden behind dozens of servers, a ghost bank account transferred through a series of countries, or a virtual phone number that exists for only a few hours. They don't work alone. The FBI collaborates with international police forces from Europol to Interpol. 2. dismantled the scam factories hidden in the corners of the world's secret rooms in Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, or Africa, where dozens of scammers sit in front of screens, impersonating banks, tech companies, or even your relatives. But their job is not just to apprehend. They are also educators, the ones who issue warnings. The FTC constantly launches awareness campaigns, from social media posts to community workshops. It's trying to teach people how to recognize a phishing email, a spoofed call. They know that in this war, knowledge is the most powerful weapon. But let's face the truth. This is an asymmetric war. For every scammer caught, dozens, hundreds more spring up like mushrooms after rain. Technology evolves, and so do the scammers. They don't stand still. They learn, adapt, and are always one step ahead. And that's when we realize a bitter truth. We cannot just sit and wait for a sheriff to come and save us. In this digital Wild West, each of us must become a soldier. Fortunately, we are not helpless. We have our own weapons that don't require you to be a tech expert, that don't demand you understand encryption or blockchain. All you need is a bit of vigilance and a few simple tools. Weapon number 1: two-factor authentication. Think of it as a second lock on the door to your digital house. Password can be stolen by a phishing email, spyware, or simply a time you accidentally typed it on a fake website. But with 2FA, a thief needs more than that. They need the verification code sent to your phone or email. It's a simple but incredibly effective layer of defense. Turn on to FA for all your important accounts. Banking, email, social media. It's the first step to transforming yourself from prey into a fortress. Weapon number 2: healthy skepticism. Never ever click on a link in an email or text message, no matter how trustworthy it seems. An email claiming to be from your bank asking you to verify your information via a link, don't click it. Instead, open your browser and type in the bank's official website address yourself. A message from a relative asking for money urgently? Call them back to confirm, don't reply immediately. And always check the sender's email address. An email from Apple but with a @gmail.com domain? That's a red flag bigger than a mountain. Weapon number 3: the golden rule that existed long before the internet. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. No one is giving you a free iPhone. No investment opportunity guarantees a 30% monthly return without risk. Greed, gullibility, or even just a moment of carelessness, these are the unlocked doors we unwittingly open for thieves. But here's the scary part. This fight isn't just a battle, it's an arms race. And our enemy is evolving at a dizzying speed. Think back 10 years ago. We were warned about scam emails from a Nigerian prince with silly spelling mistakes and outlandish promises. Those emails were so easy to spot, they were almost comical. But what about today? Scammers can now create perfect fake websites, identical to the bank or tech company you trust. They use automated tools to send millions of personalized emails, knowing your name, your interests, even your shopping habits. And even more terrifying, they have started using artificial intelligence. Imagine this. You get a call in the middle of the night. On the other end of the line is the voice of your son, trembling, crying, saying he just caused an accident and needs you to send money immediately for bail. That voice isn't an imitation. It's identical to your son's voice. Every inflection is perfectly recreated by AI from a short video it found on TikTok or Instagram. In that moment of panic, as your heart pounds and your mind reels, would you be clear-headed enough to realize it's a lie? Would you stop to call your son back on a different number? Or would you act immediately, only to realize you just lost thousands of dollars to a stranger half a world away? This war is getting fiercer. The enemy is getting smarter, more ruthless. They don't just want your money, they want your trust, your panic, and your most vulnerable moments. But in this fight, you are not alone. You have your own weapons, and more importantly, you have the power of knowledge. Think about your personal trigger rule, a habit or a secret question that only you and your loved ones know. Maybe it's a special phrase you always ask your child on the phone to confirm their identity. Maybe it's the habit of verifying an email through another channel, like calling the bank directly. Or maybe it's just a simple principle. I will never act immediately on an urgent request received via email or phone. Share your secret weapon. In the comments, tell us how you protect yourself, your family. Your small tip could be a guiding light for someone else lost in the dark. This war seems endless. Every time we build a higher wall, the scammer finds a longer ladder. Every time we learn to recognize a trick, they invent a new, more sophisticated one. So what should we do? Live in a world where every email, every call is viewed with suspicion? A world where trust becomes a luxury? No, the answer doesn't lie in perpetual fear or skepticism. It lies in balance between vigilance and trust, between protecting yourself and living a life not imprisoned by worry. In our final part, we will explore how to find that balance. How to live in a world full of scammers and still maintain faith in the good. How to be both a soldier and a builder of a safer world. Let's journey to the conclusion together. The uncomfortable truth. In the previous part, we stood on the front lines of a counteroffensive. We witnessed the hunters of the FBI and FTC, the digital warriors tracking scammers in the dark. We armed ourselves with weapons to factor authentication, healthy skepticism, and the golden rule about things that are too good to be true. An endless arms race, where our vigilance must always be faster than the enemy's sophistication. But what if I told you that perhaps we've been mistaken? Mistaken in thinking that this war can be won with just technical tools or clever tricks. Because the real enemy isn't located in a call center in India or Nigeria. It's not hidden in a phishing email with silly spelling errors or a perfectly designed fake website. The real enemy is much closer. It is within us. Tonight, we won't talk about how to avoid being scammed. We will face a more difficult question. Why, deep down, does a part of us want to believe? Join me in stepping into a paradox, an uncomfortable truth of our time. We are living in an age more connected than ever, yet we are also lonelier than ever. We have thousands of friends on Facebook, hundreds of followers on Instagram. But have you ever felt a whole day go by without a single real conversation? A moment where you felt truly understood? We see other people's lives through glamorous photos, through curated stories on social media, but at the same time, we feel ourselves becoming invisible, as if no one truly sees the real person inside. It is in that loneliness, in that cold void of the soul, that a gnawing hunger appears, longing to connect, to trust, to feel that we belong to something greater than ourselves. And the scammers, they are not just thieves. They're master psychologists, brilliant salespeople. And the thing they are selling isn't an investment opportunity, a prize, or a free iPhone. The thing they are selling is trust. The romance scammer doesn't promise you a relationship. It sells you the feeling of being listened to, cared for, loved even, if it's just through words on a screen. The financial prophet doesn't sell you wealth. It sells you the feeling of being part of a special group. People who hold a secret the rest of the world doesn't know. They fill the void in your heart. They exploit your loneliness, your longing, and your most vulnerable moments. That is why they are so dangerous. This brings us to a final conflict, a question we all must face every day. How do we balance kindness with vigilance? Kindness is what makes us human, opens the door for us to connect, to love, and to trust. But vigilance is what keeps us safe, the shield that protects us from those who want to exploit that trust. If we are too vigilant, we might never get scammed. But what is the price? A closed heart, a world where every message, every call is viewed with suspicion. We might protect our money, but we lose the opportunities for real connection, those sincere moments between human beings. But if we are too trusting, too kind, we risk becoming a victim. Not just losing money, but losing faith in humanity, losing the very innocence in our own souls. So how do we keep an open heart without being taken advantage of? How do we live in a world full of scammers and still believe in good things? Our final question tonight does not have an easy answer. Is the internet still a place we can trust? Or has trust itself become the most expensive commodity that scammers are selling? Perhaps the greatest fight against scams doesn't take place online, not in the offices of the FBI or in lines of code. It takes place right here, inside each of us. Every day, in every text message, every email, every phone call, we face a small battle between skepticism and hope, between the fear of being hurt and the desire to connect. Thank you for joining Sleepless Mind on this complex journey. Your patience, your reflection, and your faith in the stories we tell are an invaluable inspiration. If these words help you look at a strange message, an unexpected call with a different set of eyes that are both vigilant and appreciative, then we have achieved what we hoped for. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to explore mysteries, truths, and stories together in the long nights ahead. The night is late. The next time you receive an invitation from the darkness, a promising email, a familiar voice, or an opportunity too good to be true, stop just for a second and ask yourself, are they selling me a product, or are they selling me a feeling that I'm missing? That answer might be your strongest shield. Good night, with safe dreams and a heart still brave enough to trust.
You've crossed the story. You felt every pulse in the dark, and I was there with you, quietly, always. That's why I left behind one last thing. Not to explain, not to impress, just to stay with you a little longer. A song I chose with care, as if tucking you in from across time and space. So go on, lay back, the music knows where to take you. still here, then you're something rare. Not many stay this long. So, thank you for choosing to stay. I'm here too, still awake, surrounded by the quiet glow of my editing screen, shaping the next stories just for you. If there's anything you want to leave behind, a whisper, a suggestion, even just a symbol, drop it in the comments. Because maybe, tomorrow night, you'll hear yourself echoed in a story that's never been told before. Still here, even now? I have a feeling part of you is still wandering somewhere between wakefulness and dreaming. I know that feeling well because I'm still awake with you. In a quiet room, I'm gently laying out layers of sound. Each breath, each beat, preparing the next journey we'll take together. If you're still listening, leave me a sign. Let me know how you're feeling, or just where you are in this vast world. Because right now, in this stillness, you are not alone. You're still there, aren't you? I can't see you, but I can feel you. Like a soft signal pulsing across the silence. Over here, I'm still working, refining layers of sound, rewriting fragments of voice, building the landscape for our next adventure. One that you might inspire. If an idea comes to you, share it with me. Comment below. A theme, a memory, a strange dream. I read every word because I never tell these stories alone. I tell them with you.